What is going on, comic book gang? My name is Bianchi, aka Year of the Collector, and I'm back again with another episode of One World Under Doom. This time we are gonna go over Thunderbolts Doomstrike issue number 3. If you are lost or you are not caught up with what's going on specifically in this run or in the main story from this Marvel event, there's gonna be a playlist at the end of this video. You can check it out, watch all of those videos, subscribe, like, do the stuff. You know what to do. So here we go. Thunderbolts Doomstrike number 3 is written by Jackson Lanzing and Collin Kelly, and I want to reiterate that I believe they are writing the best Bucky Barnes, aka the Revolution, by basing him on a real life person that believed in revolution at all costs. I covered that in the video for the first issue. Bucky has been struggling in taking arms against Doom and the United Latveria and the One World Under Doom. He's just not willing to stay down, even though he's like 0-2 against Doom so far. The art in this book, it's amazing. Pencils are by Tommaso Bianchi and the colors are by Nitro. I don't know what it is about this series, the dark gritty tones and styles of it. I just really like it. But let's jump right into it. Issue number 3 follows the events of the last issue. Specifically, you don't have to go from issue 2 to another one of the tie-ins and then come back here. No, the Thunderbolts tie-ins to the story is like a linear story for the most part. After the Revolution found out that Doom was exporting Vibranium from Wakanda, he decided to go and cut off the supply at the source. Apparently, Doom had control of the Vibranium mines in Wakanda, and it was all in the up and up. Like, everything was legal, there's no nefarious reason why Doom was extracting Vibranium out of Wakanda. It is stated in the narration by Natasha, aka the Black Widow, that Prime Minister Folasade or Folasade, I don't know how you pronounce that name, she signed over the Vibranium resources, specifically the mines, to Doom, to the United Latveria. As I understand it, Folasade debuted it in the 2021 Black Panther series by John Ridley. Folasade was a member of Wakanda's parliament. At one point in Wakanda, the people changed their government from monarchy, from having a king who decide everything, aka T'Challa, to having democracy, hence the need for a parliament. So yeah, it seems this character, Folasade, is the Prime Minister of Wakanda, is responsible for turning over the most prized resource of her country to the United Latveria. But as narrated by Natasha, Revolution's Thunderbolts infiltrated Wakanda to put a stop to this arrangement. They were going to need help. It's not like you can walk into Wakanda and do what you want, right? It's a secluded nation and not everybody can just walk in. But that help came in the form of 2 members of the Midnight Angels, and their names are Aneka and Ayo. The fact that they were helping the revolution was an open act of defiance. If you know anything about Wakanda, you know the top security forces are the Dora Milaje, and they work for the king, or at least they used to. Now they work for the Prime Minister, and since the Prime Minister is in bed with Dr. Doom, they are also being complicit of this allegiance, of this treaty. But the Midnight Angels specifically are a unit of elite warriors inside the Dora Milaje Special Forces, and they are not having it. Or at least Aneka and Ayo are not having it, and they're willing to help the Thunderbolts because they want to free their people from Doom's control. Pretty simple. But they are also aware of the revolution's record against Doom so far. They will not have Wakanda be nuked like Shelbyville, and Bucky of course agreed and promised not to let it happen again. Keep that in mind because it's gonna come back in the end. Eventually they break into the Great Mound, which is a mine located underneath this mountain called Mashenga, where they have the world's only natural reserve of Vibranium. As soon as they're inside, the Midnight Angel said there was something wrong. They didn't see any of the usual guards. That's when Revolution heard it, a loud thunder coming down the Great Mound. It was the original Thunderbolts making their entrance to confront the Revolution. This issue, and this is a quick parenthesis here, this issue serves as an intro to the OG Thunderbolts for those of you who don't know anything about them, or for those who do know them but haven't seen them in a while. From left to right, we got Mach-1, Fixer, Moonstone, Atlas, and Citizen V. Apart from Citizen V, who we know to be Valentina Allegra de Fontaine underneath the mask, these seem to be the actual original members that debuted in 1997. Back then, it was Baron Helmut Zemo who posed as Citizen V. And there's two things to point out here. These Thunderbolts are rocking Doom's emblem or symbol, and that's because this unit is what Doom was talking about on issue 1 when he offered Bucky a place in his full guard victories, aka his secret police. For the record, I just want to say that I called it. I said on the video for issue 1 of Thunderbolts Doomstrike that Doom was going to make his own Thunderbolts, and I was right. I don't always get it right, but when I do, I will remind everyone and be super annoying about it too. The second thing to point out here is, if you haven't put it together, Songbird has been hanging out with Revolution since issue number 1. She is the longest standing Thunderbolt member, and when she saw these guys pulled up here, she freaked out because the last time she saw Abe Jenkins, aka Mach-1, he died. And that took place in Thunderbolts number 12 from 2016 during the Secret Empire event. Bucky Barnes, Songbird, and Mach-1 fought the Thunderbolts, the Wrecking Crew, and Baron Helmut Zemo. This was one hell of a battle, but in the end, Zemo took the W, so excuse the hell out of Songbird for losing her mind for a moment. The full guard victories sent a bunch of artillery towards the Thunderbolts, and Bucky protected them with his Vibranium arm. If you see something different about Bucky's metal arm, you're not crazy. Bucky's Vibranium arm was upgraded in the same Thunderbolts run where Mach-1 died. Bucky had to leave his original metal arm behind because S.H.I.E.L.D. was tracking him using the arm. They put something in it so they could know where he was at all times. So once Fixer figured that out, they left the arm behind forever. So Fixer, the tech guy from the Thunderbolts, gave Bucky a new arm with a bunch of upgrades. That's why Revolution's arm is taken out of commission in the beginning of this fight, because Fixer knew its weaknesses. But the bad news did not stop there. The Thunderbolts were now about to face the embodiment of the muscle in the Thunderbolts, aka Atlas. His real name is Eric Jostin, but he's held different mantles throughout the years. Smuggler, Goliath, Atlas, but he debuted as Power Man in the Avengers 21 from 1965. I know what you're saying. Wait a minute, wasn't Luke Cage called Power Man? Yes, you are right. These two actually fought each other for the right of holding the name of Power Man. And as you guessed, Luke Cage won. Another interesting fact about Eric Jostin, and this one is mentioned by Bucky, is that he tried to join the Avengers 17 times, but he was a bit of a dumbass. His test scores were way too low, to the point they could not consider him as a recruit. But he was so strong that Jarvis just let him keep trying. That's some crazy trivia dropped in this comic book by Bucky Barnes. Back to the fight. Atlas broke the floor where everyone was standing, and Revolution fell through, followed by Citizen V. If I were to describe this fight and the rest of this issue, it would be chaotic. Destroyer took on Fixer, or at least she was trying. Valentina stopped Revolution on the way down, which, let me remind you all, this is the same swords she used to stop a Ghost Rider in the last issue. Still, I have no idea what these swords are made of. Eventually somebody will explain this in a comic book or in some wiki, but as of right now, I don't even know if they had like a specific name or some type of metal denomination from the Marvel Universe. All we know is like they have some crazy powers to them, and Bucky just got stuck with it. Back on the surface, the Midnight Angels took on Atlas and Moonstone. They call Atlas Goliath, and he was upset because Goliath is his name only when he's a bad guy, which tells us that in his mind he thought the full guard victories were the good guys. I'm sure that had something to do with the fact that Doom blamed Revolution for the destruction of Shelbyville, and the public perception of Bucky is not the best right now. Everybody that wasn't there really believes that he was the culprit, the perpetrator of Shelby being blown up like it was. But the chaos didn't stop there, like I said. Valentina and Bucky finally landed at the bottom of the mine. Bucky just removed the sword from his torso and fought back with just one arm like it was no biggie. Destroyer was breaking through Fixer's shields, and Atlas was trying to convince the Midnight Angels to surrender because he was a good guy and he didn't want to fight them. All the while, Moonstone was mildly entertained by all this fighting because she's under no assumption that they're the good guys. As far as she's concerned, there are no good guys here. Is she wrong? It all depends on who you ask, right? Everyone here has blood in their hands, even the ones we would consider the heroes. Here, we turn our eyes back to Songbird and Mach-1. These two were the only ones who weren't throwing hands. On the contrary, Songbird was trying to convince Abe to stop fighting and to talk to her. And he was also asking her to stand down and switch to his side so they could be reunited. All very romantic stuff. But when Songbird took off his helmet, the truth was revealed. I imagine you already guessed it, but yeah, there was no one under the helmet. It was just a Doombot. Fixer explained that, okay, fair enough, it's not Abe as they knew him, but Doom used his magic to somehow install Abe's soul inside that Doombot. But all Fixer managed to do with that explanation was to upset Songbird even more. As this battle royale kept going, Valentina and Bucky had a heart-to-heart exchange of words. She was mocking Bucky's whole gimmick, saying that the Revolution mantle is a joke, that while he pretends to be like Steve Rogers, what he really seeks is violence. And that's an argument that anyone could make, because Bucky had many opportunities to walk away from this whole rebellion against Doom, but he didn't. Bucky could have lived a better life as a weapon for better men. However, Bucky said that he doesn't believe in the idea of better men. He believes there's just people who fight for the truth and people who live in lies. And that just about sums up this rebellion and this struggle that Bucky has put on his shoulders, right? The fight against Doom. You really must believe that no one is your better. That is the kind of mentality required to go against someone that's clearly more powerful than you. When the speeches were done, Aneka was down, Atlas was missing one eyeball, and Valentina was bested by the one-armed revolution. Instead of surrendering the fight, she ordered the Mach-1 Doombot to activate some sort of explosives contained inside of him. But before it went off, it needed the confirmation from Fixer, and he hesitated at first, but after Moonstone called him out for creating the backup plan in the first place, he changed his mind and gave his confirmation, and that was game, set, and match. If the Mach-1 Doombot exploded inside the Vibranium mine, even if they somehow survived that, they wouldn't survive the aftermath because of the way Vibranium works, absorbing kinetic energy. The mine will take in all that energy from the explosion for a moment, but then all of that energy, it will have to be released all at once. Wakanda could have turned into the next Shelbyville by blowing up into Kingdom Come. That was it. Bucky remembered the promise he made to Waneko and Ayo and surrendered. Valentina allowed the Midnight Angels to escape so they would spread the word of what happened in the Great Mound of Wakanda, how Dr. Doom's full guard victories, aka Doom's Thunderbolts, defeated the revolution. That happened 2 weeks ago in Marvel's universe, and Bucky has been missing since. Bucky had been kept in some dungeon at an undisclosed location. Probably tortured, beaten, starved, who knows. Finally, Doom and the Revolution have a face-to-face since this whole thing started. I don't know who needs to hear this, but the Thunderbolts is an incredible series, and Bucky Barnes as the Revolution is excellent character growth, for better or for worse. You know, as of right now, he's 0-3, so being this Revolution character might not be in his best interest, but it's still excellent character growth, in my opinion at least. I believe this series is flying under most people's radar, possibly because there are so many tie-ins to the One World Under Doom story that, you know, people have to pick and choose what they're willing and what they can afford to read and spend their time and money on. And this one is not making the cut in most people's monthly polls, or at least that's what seems to be the case from my point of view. But that's okay. That's why I'm here, to fill you guys in so you don't miss out. And with that being said, thank you for watching. You have a blessed day, and remember to read more comics.